Hi guys, this is UFO and ECS Fargate. In this video, I'm going to cover a tool called UFO. It's an ECS deployment tool that helps you build a Docker image and deploy it to ECS, all in kind of one command. I did a very similar to video of this, and in that video, I cover UFO and ECS, but just ECS EC2, so without the Fargate. With Fargate, the difference is with Fargate, AWS manages your container instances for you, so you don't have an EC2 instance for you to manage. So that's kind of nice, especially the good use cases. Let's say you don't have ops team, or you have a small ops team, or you just don't have the time to manage servers. Then what you can do is you just use Fargate because AWS manages those servers for you. You don't have to worry about patching the server. You don't have to worry about system upgrades. You don't have to worry about installing the ECS agent and so forth. Now, of course, and with everything in life, there are always some cons or some gotchas. But since the EC2 instance is managed by AWS, you do not have access to it. You cannot SSH into the machine and debug if you need to at that kind of level. You just can't. The other disadvantage is cost. ECS Fargate is a managed service, so it's going to cost you more, right? If you deploy something on your own EC2 instance, of course, it's going to cost you less. If you're paying for a managed service and OS patching all that, it's going to cost you more money. The pricing is about similar to Roku. I wrote a blog article about that also. I'll link it to that post in this description below. So let's get right to it. This demo is going to be based on this blog post right here entitled UFO and ECS Fargate Introduction Tutorial. I just talked about the pros and cons of ECS Fargate. Again, a big pro is managed for you. And remember, even if it costs more, let's say if like your time costs money and people cost money too, right? So in a small team setting, this could make actually a lot of sense. All right, so summary of commands. Let's go through all these commands. And in this demo, I'm going to use a Java app. So I'm mixing it up a little bit here. So let's go ahead and clone that, cd demo, and then let's look at the files in here. So this looks like a standard Java app. It's pretty lightweight, and I'm going to run a command build bin. And what that does is it builds the artifact because it's a Java app. It needs to be compiled, and we need to compile so we can ship the artifact. And then I'm going to now run the init command. On that bin build script, all that does is it builds an artifact via Maven, and then moves it into kind of the right project. You can take a look at that. Let me just see if I can actually open up so you can take a quick look at this bin right there. So that's what that looks like. It's pretty simple. All right, so let's go ahead and run the next command. In this command, you have to replace this execution role for your own execution role. And so I'll show you how to do that. You have to find that under IMA role. You just go to IMA console, look for roles here, then you look for ECS task execution role, and then you click on this copy and paste icon, and you paste it in here. So that's going to initialize it. Now you don't have that role. There's a link conveniently located in this blog post right here that takes you to the AWS docs that shows you exactly how to create that role. So there, got you covered. All right, next thing is, let's actually go over this command a little bit. Actually, let's start this deploy. Let's start this deploy, then we'll go over the command. So I'm gonna run that current command, which just sets basically the current service. So that spares me from typing the service name. So normally you have to type this, but since I ran current, I just type UFO ship. So it saves me from remembering one more thing. Okay, so while that's deploying, now we'll go over kind of the UFO init command and some of the files it generated. So UFO init, you pass it an image, and with that image, that's pointing to the Docker Hub. That's my Docker Hub account, and I'm gonna push up to that Docker Hub. And then launch type Fargate. So this is important. This is what tells UFO to generate slightly different files to support Fargate. The task definition files look a little bit different for Fargate than it does for ECS EC2. So that's why we have to pass that flag. Then the execution role, we just covered that, but that's the execution role that the ECS task assumes and basically uses when it's running. And then UFO init from those parameters, or from running that command, it generates all these files. All these files, the one that's important is this one, the Fargate one. So let's kind of take a look at that. Let's go to Sublime, open that up. So when you're writing ECS task definitions, it's a JSON file. It's JSON file, and normally you don't actually have these variables and these if statements in it, because that's what UFO does. UFO basically allows you to write this JSON file with the ERB templating language, and allows you to use variables and substitute them in. So then you could kind of use the same task definition among different roles, or kind of use similar task definitions. So let me show you where these variables actually come from. So the variables mainly come from here. base, and development. So UFO has a concept called shared variables, and these variables basically are shared and available to all these templates here. You just define instance variables here. Base is always going to be available because the development file gets layered on top of the base file. It depends on the UFO environment that you kind of set. So then all these variables available in here, they get substituted in here. You also need to declare your task definition with this file task definitions, and this is where you can declare different files. UFO, when we run init, it created a couple of starter task definition declarations here. One for a web, one for a worker, and one for clock roll. This is just a common pattern I've seen. So this is just kind of just getting you started. You can delete and edit any of this that you would like. Okay, so once that is, these 3 files are used, and then we ran the ship command already, so it already generated the outputted files, which is right here. So I'm just going to take a look at the demo web so you can see the kind of the source file and the output file. So here's the source file with all the variables, and then all the variables got substituted, and then you got the output file, and this is the file that gets registered to ECS, and then it gets deployed to ECS. So that deployment is probably still going. Let's kind of scroll down, and it's still kind of growing right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this video so you don't have to wait for this deployment, and then we'll continue. Alright guys, so that deployment finished. It took about 3 minutes and 33 seconds, so it was actually pretty quick. Let's see what's next now. Next is verifying the app. So let's go take a look at the app on the EC2 console now. So if you refresh here, it should have a service there. That's the service that UFO created. And we're also going to actually look at some of the resources, other resources that UFO generated. So we're going to look at the CloudFormation stack that UFO launched. Here's the CloudFormation stack, and you can click all the resources. I'm on the resources tab right there, and on the resources tab, it shows you all the resources it created. It created ECS service, a couple security groups, a load balancer, a listener, and a target group. So let's actually go take a look at all those resources here. So let's look at the load balancer. So here's the load balancer it created. Here's the listener, all right, and then also that goes to the target group, which is where you click on here. There's a target group created, and let's look, and there's a healthy target. That target is ECS task that's running on a Fargate EC2 container that Amazon manages. So the one neat thing about using Fargate is Fargate requires you to use something called AWS VPC mode. With AWS VPC mode, the ECS task that's running your Docker container gets its own network card and its own security group. Because of that, UFO can actually help you manage that a little bit better. So this is why these security groups are created by UFO. What UFO did was UFO created a security group for your task associated with that ECS task. Let's go find it. You go click on the task itself, or right there, actually the service, and you see the security groups. So all the tasks under this Fargate ECS task is going to get this security group, and this is actually the security group that's created by UFO. We can actually click on it. And what that security group does is it opens up access to the load balancer security group. So let's go take a look at the load balancer security group. So the load balancer has its own security group right here that was also created by UFO. So it whitelists the right ports for you for access, so you don't have to kind of manage that yourself. So that's kind of the nice thing with it. When you're using ECS EC2, you have to manage that yourself, and then you have to kind of worry about the security groups. Not necessarily. It depends if you're using AWS VPC mode. You can use AWS VPC mode also in ECS EC2, but if you're not using that network mode, and you're using the bridge mode, then you have to manage the security groups yourself. So okay, let's get back on point here. So verifying the app. So we verify the app is kind of container is up and running. We verify that a bunch of resources are created. We go back to the README file of this demo Java app. There's a URL that we can hit. So I'll show you how to verify that now. So UFO PS is the next command I'm gonna run. That command lists all the running containers, and it also provides me with the ERB or ELB DNS name. So I'm gonna go ahead and curl that, so then we could verify it. So that should return hello world. So there it goes. It returns hello world, right? So next thing we're gonna do is scale it. Let's go ahead and scale this application up. So UFO scale 3. So I'm going up to 3 containers from 1 to 3. And running USO PS. The container is not going to be there yet because it takes a little bit time for ECS to provision a container. And with Fargate, you have to imagine that AWS is running and managing a fleet of EC2 containers with probably other customers on those containers too. This is why you have to use AWS VPC mode, so you have kind of network isolation there. So your image is probably not going to be pre-cached on the EC2 container because it could be a number of any instances it's going to launch on. So Fargate takes a little bit more time to launch the ECS container or ECS Docker container, but it's still pretty fast. So let's see if it's ready now. So it's still running count 1, but it says pending now, so it's getting pretty close. And then let's just do a watch on this. Yeah, it's one of them is running 3 seconds ago, one of them is still pending. So this should be done shortly. I'm just gonna let it go, and we'll just, there it goes, 2 seconds ago. So we'll run it one more time. So the cool thing about ECS Fargate is because we don't have to manage the EC2 instance. What happens if we run out EC2 instances? Well, we're not going to, right? AWS is managing that for you. So if there are more containers that you launch, you can basically launch as many containers as you want. Amazon just can provision more EC2 instances for you and keep on launching. So you definitely want to maybe be careful about maybe not launching too many or it costs you money, right? All right, so the last thing to do now, since we verified everything's working, is just to destroy our resources and clean everything up. So you do that with the Ufo Destroy command. It asks you, you are about to destroy a demo web service on the development cluster? Are you sure? Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and destroy that. We should be good. Okay, so that's gonna actually take a couple, it usually takes about 2 minutes to destroy. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what else we need to talk about here. I think we're done. Okay, destroy the app summary. So that is it. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, be sure to share it and subscribe if you want to watch more content like this in the future. Okay, have a great, thanks guys. Bye-bye.